Guys, are you ready for the ultimate showdown this weekend at UFC 298? Join me in the action by leaving your picks for the fights in the comments below. I have teamed up with DraftKings Sportsbook, and right now, new customers get a no-sweat bet. You can get a bonus bet back in the amount of your original bet if your pick doesn't hit. Minimum deposit $5. Sign up using my promo code Sonnen. And DraftKings has something for existing customers as well. All customers get SGP insurance every day. Get a bonus bet back if one leg of your SGP bet loses. Minimum number of legs required and max bet vary. And if sports betting is not yet available in your state, do not worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy. New customers, use my promo code Sonnen and you get a no sweat bet. So click on the link below and download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. My official prediction for Volkanovski versus Ilia Topuria. Volkanovski. And still, I will share with you, I very much expect a different performance from Volkanovski. What does that mean? Is it better or worse, right? I lean in the direction that he's going to underperform. The greats that separate themselves from the pack never stop getting better. They are never satisfied. They are never full. They remain hungry. How do you do that? How do you stay motivated? It's one of these very difficult things where if you understand that you're competing against yourself, all you're looking for is PRs. They talk about that in track and field all the time. But nobody really knows why that's important. Like, I can remember growing up, I didn't do track and field, but when I had friends or I had acquaintances that would talk about track and field and they'd be proud of themselves talking about a PR, even though they didn't medal, I didn't get it. I mean, I must tell you, I thought that was a very bizarre concept. You either beat the people that were standing next to you or you didn't. I don't actually care how fast you went. Were you faster than them? That was from my perspective. But they were not that way. It did matter how fast that they did it. It didn't matter if somebody did it faster. Am I saying this clearly? Because the first time I ever got a taste of this was in high school in weightlifting. Coach Tom Hogan, he explained this to us on day one. The way I'm going to grade you, we went around and got all of our one rep maxes. He said, the way I'm going to grade you is at the end of this process, end of this class, I'm going to do one rep maxes again. And it's going to be about your gain. So if you're the strongest kid in class, it doesn't mean that you're the one that's going to get an A. You've got to be stronger than you are right now when this journey is done. Wow, okay, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. I like that concept. And when you have the true greats that can whip everybody, they're then confronted with the question of, are they going to continue to stay disciplined? Are they going to continue to do the things that you don't want to do? The things that it takes to be a great athlete, particularly in this space, are not fun. There's no way around it. It is not fun to get up at 5 a.m. and go run 5 miles. There's not a trick, or well, for some people, they really enjoy it. It's not fun to eat less calorie-wise than you burn in a day. It's not fun to tell people no. Do you guys want to know what focused means? Do you ever hear that somebody's focused? Well, what does that mean? Focus means that you say no more often than not. That's what focus means. If you're focused on something, then when all these other ideas are coming in, distractions, you got other opportunities, you're saying no. There's a party, there's a date, there's a social event, there's something to do. No, no, no. Why? Because I'm focused. And I just share for you, when your goal is to be the best in the world, once you're there, there's a very rare few people that will continue to try to get better. I mean, think about the concept of it. Think about what you're going to have to do to get better, but I'm already the best. I can't get any higher than number one. And there's a reason, though, that it's important that you continue to separate yourself. Do you want to know what that reason is? Real simple. What if the competition comes on a day that you're not feeling well? The entire genesis of continuing to grow as an athlete and separate yourself from the pack is so that if a competition falls on a day that you're not feeling well, you can still win. Or maybe it's on a day that you're feeling really bad. You can still win. You are still better than the rest. And I bring that to you because Volkanovski appears to have some room. He has not had a close match at 145 pounds. And I do think he's going to be different. Look, history says When you get knocked out, you're not the same. Now, that's more true in boxing than it is in MMA. But I'm going to couple combat together just to let you know that I do expect a guy to be different the first time he realizes he's got a switch and it can be shut off. The first time he realizes I can't go full bore with my offense if it sacrifices my defense, meaning it leaves myself exposed. Now, there's more options in MMA. If you do have those same trepidations that we see so often in boxing, you can turn to more of a grappling-heavy mindset. There's different things that you can do. You can kick more. You can stay on the outside. Just for example, you can stay on your feet, but you can clinch so the power's not there. Just by example. So I do expect that we see a different Volkanovski. There has just been such a meaningful gap between Volk and the field. Listen, people will tell you MMA math doesn't work. They will tell you it's styles that make matchups. Those people are idiots. MMA math is the greatest science that we have. I realize it's not perfect and it's not scientific, but it's the closest thing that we have. MMA math works all the time. Matchups work all the time, not styles. Don't act like you're smarter than somebody. You can see this through a different pair of eyes. You can look more in depth than most people. No, you can't. And there's not a whole lot of guys, and Topuria is great, by the way, but I haven't seen a whole lot of guys that Volk has defeated that I believe Topuria could also defeat. I'm not sold on the idea that Topuria could beat Brian Ortega, for example. I'm not sold on that. I would need to see that match. I am not convinced that Ilia Topuria can beat Max Holloway. I'm certainly not convinced that Ilia could beat Max Holloway 3 times. I'm not convinced of that. So, when you look at the schedule and you look at the resume of Volk, I do admit there's something to see here. I do admit the fact that October wasn't that long ago. And they had to wake Volk up. They had to tell him, and Volk shared some things with us. He shared with us that he is not perfectly disciplined at all times. That he goes through highs and lows himself based on the finish line, what the date is of that contract, where the next opponent is. I'm not dismissing and discounting that. But how are you going to beat him? If Topuria is going to beat him, how is he going to beat him? Are they going to go to a decision? If you win a decision against an opponent, it means you're in better shape than the opponent. Just so you understand. Nobody's ever won a decision in the history of ever where conditioning wasn't a factor. So if you believe it's a decision, then you believe that Topuria has better conditioning than Volk, of which he might have. I'm just asking you how you came to that conclusion. With what evidence? What did you see that I missed? Do you believe Topuria can knock him out? You might believe that. And you'd only have to go back to October to show me that that could be done. But is that your bet? Is that what you think? Because if you're picking Topuria and you're a handicapper, then you might as well pick him by knockout. That'll get yourself some really good odds. Do you think Topuria can submit him? Something Brian Ortega couldn't do? I mean, that'll get you some really good odds over at DraftKings. So I'm just asking you, go a little bit further with it. Don't just tell me who you think is going to win. If he's going to win, how's he going to do it? Meanwhile, the other side of the coin to being knocked out, the other side of the coin where you become apprehensive, is you also become very hungry. You want something back. It's one thing to defend championships. It's another thing to go out there and win championships. I think from a mindset standpoint, Volk is going to be very close to contender. From a mindset standpoint, coming off of a loss, it's very rare, guys, right? I mean, this is almost a riddle. I lost, I was knocked out in my previous fight. My current fight is for a world title, and I'm the one bringing the belt. What? That doesn't make sense. Well, yeah, in this case it does, right? I mean, it's a very unique situation. There is something to be said for momentum. I believe in Topuria. By the way, I think he's awesome. I think he's great, but he also got here the one way by design that the matchmakers thought he could get here, which is to stay away from Max Holloway. That's just the truth, and that's not Topuria's fault, but that is the truth. They started to realize we have a guy in the number 2 position in Max who can destroy the field. So we need to start bringing up contenders and avoiding that guy. It's relevant. I don't think that Volk is going to fight his absolute best. That's true. but there is such a gap between Volk and the field that I'm putting my money on him anyway.